様の拳などかほどにも効かんわい。お前はもう死んでいる。何？
Bruh.
No, 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 no.
Hello and welcome to another build guide. So this is one of those not very well known hidden boss killer builds. I actually made this build a couple of years ago, but I wasn't posting much videos back then. And then I wanted to test how it performs with the current items, influence types, whatever available right now. So I just wanted to make a build that one-shots every boss possible, let's say. Because you already know that some bosses have some phases. But any boss that doesn't have a phase just dies. So right now I have around 100 million one-hit damage. Let's talk about how you achieve that. So let's talk about the playstyle first. So you need to understand this part, watch this part really careful, and don't get upset if you cannot one-shot your first boss maybe, because you need some practice and need to understand what to press before attacking a boss. So first of all, we are using two war cries. One is a Seismic cry. This actually got nerfed, and still we can achieve more than 100 million damage easily, even after the nerf. So your exert attacks deal 30% more damage. Exert attacks deal 20% more damage per previous attack exerted by this war cry. So this means that we need to actually waste a couple of attacks before entering a boss, because with Seismic cry you have 5 exerted attacks. If you know that you can one-shot a boss if that boss doesn't have any phases, make sure you attack 4 times before entering the boss, so you will have only 1 Seismic cry exert left, and that's enough to one-shot the boss. If there are multiple bosses, maybe make sure you maybe leave 2 Seismic cry stacks, so you can just slam each boss 1 time. Your probably first hit will deal something like maybe 70 million damage, but the next one, the final one, will obviously will deal more than 100 million damage if you have similar stuff, similar gear. So make sure you leave just exactly how many attacks you need at a boss fight. But after that, you want to enter the boss. Pop your Arcanist brand on the boss's location. I have Assassin's Mark on my Arcanist brand, because I don't want to cast my Arcanist brand, Assassin's Mark actually, manually, because I will have more buttons to press when the boss gets activated. So this is our first choice. Arcanist brand will just cast it on its own. So before the boss gets activated or before I attack, I also use my Wild Ancestral Worship Totem, so I will get more melee damage. So once the boss is activated, once I'm ready to attack, I just use my second war cry, Intimidating Cry. So this actually lets your exerted attack deal double damage, so that means millions of damage. Also, if you press this near the boss will get intimidated. Intimidate means that the enemy will take 10% increased damage. This actually means more damage. If you see something like the monsters take increased damage, that means that it is actually more multiplier. So this actually gives another couple of million damage. So make sure you press that intimidating cry near the boss. After that, we are ready to attack. Just press your ice crash, pop your flask. By the time your hand is, on the air, your character is like slamming slowly. Make sure you press phase run. This is very important because phase run actually has a buff that grants more melee physical damage. Because this is a phase breaker build, that more melee physical is actually gets converted to cold damage later on. So this actually provides us another couple of million DPS, something like maybe 20 million alone. The tooltip is actually wrong. It says that the secondary duration actually provides melee physical damage, but that is actually wrong. The first part actually provides also damage. That is also confirmed in the Wikipedia. You can just check that. So if you want to press this after you press your ice crash, if you press phase run earlier, you will only have that 0.2 seconds, which is not enough because we attack very slow. That means that you need to pop your flasks, press ice crash. Once your character is doing the animation, press phase run, and that's it. The boss will just die. Alright. So this is how the rotation is. Make sure you do a couple of practices in your hideout maybe, or on some easier bosses. Once you are ready to go, just one-shot everything in the game. That's pretty much how the playstyle is. Because this is a slam skill, we are also using a lot of support gems. The most important one is obviously pulverize support that has less attack speed multiplier. So that means that this is a slow build. So it is not very good at mapping. It is not good at all in ultimatums. If you for some reason want to map with this build, maybe do not use pulverize. So that way you will have more attack speed compared to mine. You can actually map with this character, but you need to do some gem swapping, alright? But my main purpose with this build to have some fun, one-shot every boss possible. So that's why I try to kill a lot of bosses. That's pretty much it. Let me just explain some of the items so you understand the mechanics better. So this build is based on the Facebreaker gloves. So these gloves lets you play with unarmed. That means that we are not actually using any weapon. So your weapon slot must be empty. Make sure you tick from the options that you do not have auto equip, alright? Because if you have that enabled, if you pick any weapon on the ground, your character will just equip it automatically and you will lose all your DPS and you are gonna get frustrated during a map maybe. So make sure you don't have auto equip enabled. Or you can just equip a very high maybe intelligence required wand or something like that by equipping maybe something like Astra Mantis amulet. Then you can just unequip your Astra Mantis or whatever you have, so that your wand, because it requires a lot of intelligence, this character doesn't have that much intelligence, that wand will just will be on your hand all the time, but it's gonna be red because you don't have the intelligence required anymore. So you can do something like that to block your weapon slot if you want, and you can even level gems in that wand actually. So you can also do something like that. So make sure that your hand is empty or blocked, let's say, alright? Because Facebreaker requires physical damage, flat physical damage, because you don't have any flat damage, because we don't have any weapon. So this means that we need a lot of flat physical damage, and because Ice Crash is a cold skill that gets converted from physical, all the damage will get converted to cold in the end, so we are dealing cold damage. So this is an elemental build. You can safely do physical reflect maps if you want to map with this character. So Abyssus, one of the obvious choices. A lot of flat physical, a lot of crit multiplier. Make sure you get something with physical damage as gain extra cold damage for Ice Crash. This is the best enchant possible. But maybe if you have a lower budget, maybe if this gets more expensive after this video, something like that, you can maybe get another Ice Crash enchant, or we are actually using Blood and Sand as a buff. You can also get Blood and Sand buff effect, that is also nice. Lycosidae, Rawhide Power Shield, because we cannot actually get much accuracy in these kind of builds. This actually lets your hits cannot be evaded, so you don't need to get any accuracy on your gear or on the talent tree, so you will have 100% hit chance all the time. Because I'm playing with an Abyssus, I also got something with Corruption, physical damage from hits taken as cold damage, so I will have some extra mitigation. Lore Weave, pretty much best in slot, I believe, for this kind of builds, because it provides flat physical damage to attacks, which is very important for face breakers. A lot of crit chance, a lot of elemental damage, so every stat works for this build. If you have the budget, also get something with maximum resistances are 78, so your resistances will be higher, so you are gonna be tankier. Boots, just to keep my resistances, but probably most important stuff is crit chance if you haven't crit recently enchant, because you want to have a close to 100% crit chance if you want to one-shot bosses comfortably. If you have a lower crit chance, maybe you won't crit with your hit, so you cannot deal 100 million damage. So that means that you need to have a lot of crit chance, preferably more than 90%. I have something like 99% effective crit, which is almost 100% alright. So this enchant actually helps you a lot, so make sure you get it if you don't have more crit chance somewhere else. Rigwald Curse Amulet. This is what lets you crit with face breakers. Because face breakers is a build that requires no weapon, normally you don't have any crit chance. So if you use Rigwald Curse Talisman, this is a unique talisman, this actually gives +7 base unarmed crit strike chance. So everything will get calculated on top of that 7%. You can also get some claw damage, claw attack speed nodes on the tree, but we are not going to use those parts. We just want that base crit chance, so our Facebreaker build can actually crit. Because there is actually a new oil, tainted oil I believe, so you can actually anoint corrupted items these days, because talismans are corrupted. This way you can actually anoint this. I picked True Strike because I wanted more crit chance, so I want to one-shot bosses comfortably. That's why I am using, I anointed True Strike. It is also very cheap because it doesn't require any golden oil or silver oil. So this is but obviously you want tainted oil, which is actually expensive. Rings. So Borden brand is actually very nice for DPS, but this lowers your attack speed a lot. So while mapping, I actually don't use this. I just use some rare rings with resist maybe, but you want to actually keep your resist without this ring, because you want to equip this ring in a boss fight. Because let me check real quick, this ring actually gives 30 million damage alone. So you want to use this as a boss fight. Obviously you want to switch with something else, so make sure this ring is in your backpack. So you just switch this with whatever you have while mapping. So for a rare ring, you obviously want flat physical, elemental damage with attacks, life, and that's it pretty much. My other ring is actually a rare ring because I didn't want to play with two Warden brands. I just picked a steel ring because we need a lot of flat physicals, and again another flat physical as a prefix, crit multiplier, ele damage with attacks, life, and resist. You can actually play with two Warden brands. Let me check. Let me just check the DPS. You can actually achieve 110 million damage, which is not needed because none of the bosses in the game has that much HP. Even a fully recovered Shaper, I believe, has something like 70 million health. So if you have more than 80 million damage, that's actually enough. You can one-shot everything in the game. So that's why I am using a rare ring. So I can also keep my resistances because that gives a lot of fire resistances. So try to keep your resistances because we are using a lot of weak items. So a rare ring will probably be better in the end. So yeah. For belt, finally, just to keep my resistances and a lot of life. If you have the budget, also slam and a Hunter Exalt Orb. Yeah, I actually have a guide on how to craft this, so make sure you check that. If you are following me, you already know how to do that. So make sure you check that video. It is always in the description. For the Abyss Jewel, I just used a crit multiplier, life, and resist jewel. So let's check the jewels real quick. Anything that is on the talent tree, maybe I forgot anything. God, this is pretty much it. In the talent tree, let me check. Some jewels for crit multiplier, because we want to crit and one shot. That's why we need crit multiplier. Because this is a cold skill, crit multiplier with cold skill is also good. Melee crit multiplier, global crit multiplier, and that's also a crit multiplier with elemental skills that also work. You can also get that. Life, area damage is nice. Melee damage, I believe that's it. I am not sure. Measured Fury is very important, so your war cry will have one additional attack. That means that your Seismic Cry will actually have more damage on the last hit. Other than that, it's a little hard to get some dexterity, so that's why I also have a 30 dex here. Because I actually... Oh, never mind. I already explained that at the start. Alright, the boss rotation. Yeah, because we're already using a... what's that? Phase run. So if you have more dexterity, you can actually achieve a little more DPS, but it requires a lot of dexterity, so it is a little hard. So try to get some decent dexterity, so you can also have a higher level phase run, so you will have a couple of additional million damage. Unwavering Stance is to be stun immune to bosses, so you can safely one-shot bosses. You don't want to get interrupted, this is important. Again, multiplier jewels. Some Warcry stuff. So our Warcries are faster. Another here, Warcry speed, cooldown, recovery rate, those kind of stuff. And that's pretty much it, really basic actually. One more jewel, multiplier life. Because I haven't invested that much to this build, most of the items are very cheap. I also got a double Watcher's Eye. This isn't actually that expensive, but you can safely play with only one, or even don't even buy anything. Let me just check. This is more than enough to one-shot everything. So even without the Watcher's Eye, I have more than 90 million damage. Again, as I said earlier, bosses have like something like 75 million health, I believe, at full health. So yeah, anything above 80 million, I believe, is enough to kill everything. So you don't even need a Watcher's Eye actually. You can just get a one stat Watcher's Eye. Attack damage, precision, crit multiplier, precision, cold damage, hatred. Crit chance hatred can be nice to cap your crit chance if you want. If you maybe do not have a battle fate, maybe you should get a crit chance Watcher's Eye. Let me just show you that real quick. Hatred, additional crit chance, because it's a flat crit chance, this actually gives a lot of crit. So let's just use this instead of a battle fate. Where's that? Let's check how much crit we have. Again, almost 100% effective. More than 80 million damage. You can just use a regular flask instead of this maybe. Not jewel. Flask. Utility. Add to build. Let's check how much DPS we have. What's this? 86 million without a battle fate. Not almost 100% effective crit chance. So as you can see, you can actually play without a battle fate and a cheaper Watcher's Eye. But this is again actually not that cheap, because Hatred Crit is a very popular Watcher's Eye. So make sure you have more than 90% crit and more than 80 million damage. That's pretty much it to one-shot everything in the game. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like so other people also see and watch the video. You can join my Discord to chat with me and other players. We have a lot of members these days. So yeah, don't miss anything new. And I will see you later.